Hi, it's Pastor Erica, and I'm here today with Guy Kelm, and we just want to talk a little bit about a new ministry that we are hoping to launch here at Lord of Life for the families of our church in the next couple of weeks. We're launching this new ministry because of the recent events in our communities, in our culture, in our country, with the death of George Floyd. I think we've all been compelled to think more deeply about discrimination in our country and to think about what our part can be in helping create a better world, not only for today, but for our future, for our kids, and for generations to come. So in light of that, I saw at some point that there were a number of children's books that were being lifted up as a great place to start the conversation about discrimination and how we can simply be more loving people together, as we would call in the church, the body of Christ. So I reached out to Guy, and he instantly said, let's go for it. And yes. So we're going to talk a little bit about what we hope to do. Guy, do you want to talk a little bit about
Yes. So part of our hope through this series is to basically build awareness with families and give us some dialogue to talk with our children about racism in our country, or discrimination in general, and how we can maybe open up the floodgates of communication. Because I know that growing up myself, we didn't really have that communication, so we didn't really know how to talk about it. And now there's so much out there that we can use to talk about it and hopefully change the tide of what's been happening in our country. And so by doing this, like Erica said, we're going to be sharing some read-alouds. And so I'm going to talk about some of those right now. So we're going to start with read-alouds such as Sit In. Most of these are historical read-alouds, to where these were actually events in American history that took place against minorities. And so we have some great authors that we're going to be talking about. We have some Black history, we have some American Indian history, we're going to talk about Mexican Americans, gender roles, topics like that. And for some of us, especially if we're white, this might be new information that we didn't learn about in school. So we're hoping to just educate, but also build understanding and hopefully build compassion, you know, with people around us. And we're doing it today on Juneteenth. And I know for myself, Juneteenth was not something we ever talked about in school. And yet it's been around for over 150 years. Juneteenth came about 2.5 years after slavery was abolished by Abraham Lincoln. What happened is that when the Emancipation Proclamation occurred, slaves were freed. However, the news did not get to everyone. And the last slaves to be freed were freed 2.5 years later in the deep south of Texas near Galveston. When they got this news, there was this jubilation for most of them. And it happened on June 19th, and so they kind of put it together as Juneteenth. And so for over 100 years, Black Americans have been celebrating their freedom, just as white Americans celebrate 4th of July as their freedom. And so we thought it was really important that we start acknowledging Juneteenth as well, to celebrate freedom for all people in America, not just a certain population. So we're hoping through these books that we can do that, and that your families will be able to have dialogue around the kitchen table, in your living rooms, and to really dig deeper into what is happening in our country and how can we be an instrument to change how we think, which is going to be challenging, but also change how others think around us. Erica?
Well, and I think it's especially important as people of faith that we're having this conversation. I think as the body of Christ, we have been shaped and formed in such a way that values all members of the body, no matter color, creed, gender, sexuality, where we come from, where we'll end up. And so we hope to encourage a kind of openness and a courageous conversation around race and discrimination and all these issues that we're facing right now in our country. One of our hopes is that, or I would say our hope, our plan,
yeah, our format,
our format,
plan, yes,
is that every Monday, starting in July, we will post a read aloud story on our Facebook page and probably on our YouTube channel as well, so that families can access that whenever they choose, whatever is a good time for you, whether it's a morning break or after supper each night, whatever it might be for your family. You would be invited to take some time and just to listen to that story and get comfortable and familiar with it. And then Guy and I will also take some time to talk about it.
We will have another recording where we'll discuss the book itself, but also dig deeper into what it's really talking about, so that maybe you and your family have heard the story, but you're like, well, where are they going with this? What does this really mean? We'll take it apart for you in another recording, so that you can listen to that one right afterwards if you want, or you can listen to it later in the week, whatever you'd like to do, all right? So that hopefully it's going to, again, build that understanding with what's happened and what we can do today.
A lot of these books that were listed in this article that I had read and that Guy has used in his classroom really focus on maybe 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade understandings or readers.
And higher.
And up, right.
Definitely, yes.
I think the beautiful thing is that it can be a conversation for anyone in the congregation. Oftentimes, and we know this from the feedback we sometimes get from our children's messages in worship, is that it provides a great opportunity for adults to maybe think about something in a different way, or to hear a story in a different way. And so moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas, members of the congregation, we hope it's not just for families and kids, but that we'll all use these stories as an opportunity to engage in a deeper conversation.
And you know, Erica, and if they have a child who's in kindergarten or 1st grade, it's still good to expose and to have them as part of the conversation too. If you take it apart a little more slowly, then they're going to be able to catch on a little better too, and that will just build conversation in the years to come.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
The last part of this ministry that we will launch is that on Thursday mornings of each week at 10 o'clock, Tim Slinger and I, youth director here at Lord of Life, we will host a Zoom gathering. And so kids of all ages, again, moms and dads, whoever might be home, can jump on that online platform so that we can talk together, so that we can have a chance to hear what were some of the things that kids loved about those stories, maybe what were some of the questions that they had, what are some of the things that it made them wonder about. And we'll get a chance to interact with your kids and to have that faithful conversation, and to spend some time checking in with them too, just to see how they're doing and what they're processing. And I am so excited about, well, all the pieces of it, but maybe in some ways, especially seeing your kids and just listening to what they're thinking about and how they're understanding these profound stories.
And so in closing, I think that it's going to be a great time for you as a family to communicate with each other, to build understanding, and to really become deeper thinkers of what's happening in our world all the time that sometimes we're not aware of. So we really look forward to working with you all on this and to sharing some amazing, amazing stories.
So be ready on Monday, July 6th. To get that first post and begin story time together with us and with the whole congregation as we dive a little deeper and find ourselves challenged to live deeply into God's grace and God's sense of who we all are as the body of Christ.